Before you touch your phone tomorrow morning, stop, because the first voice you hear each day decides whether you live in peace or pressure. Most of us wake up already tired. Messages, expectations, comparisons. It's like starting the day carrying a heavy bag filled with yesterday's worries and tomorrow's fears. But what if you could choose your inner voice before the world chooses it for you? What if your day began from calm, not chaos? In a world that never slows down, anxiety feels normal and silence feels strange. That's why mornings have become the most important and most neglected moment of the day. The Buddha said, "We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts." The problem isn't life itself, it's unconscious self-talk, repeating fear, doubt, and self-judgment before the day even begins. The good news is simple. You don't need to change your whole life. You only need to change the first words you speak to your mind. What you tell yourself every morning is not motivation, it is mental training. Train the mind and the day follows. In this video, we'll explore 12 powerful things to tell yourself every morning, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, words that protect your peace before the world tests it. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Growth is a choice. Most people wake up already defeated, chained to the heavy iron weights of yesterday's mistakes, old labels, and missed chances. We move through our mornings like ghosts haunting our own lives, reacting to the world's noise rather than setting our own rhythm. We allow the broken version of ourselves from 5 years ago, or even 5 minutes ago, to dictate what we are capable of today. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of anicca, or impermanence, teaches us that nothing in the known universe is fixed. Every moment is a death and a rebirth. Just as the Buddha taught that holding on to the past is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else, we are the ones who get burned by our refusal to let go. Ancient wisdom reminds us that you are not a static object. You are a continuous process of change. You are not who you were. You are the decision you make next. Imagine yourself not as the finished statue, but as both the block of marble and the sculptor holding the chisel. Every morning, the world hands you back that stone. You can choose to let the weather of life erode it into a jagged, unrecognizable shape, or you can pick up the tool and strike with intention. Every choice, no matter how small or courageous, is a strike of the chisel that reveals the person your vision dares you to pursue. Take a moment to breathe and look inward. Ask yourself, how much of your current energy is being spent maintaining a story about yourself that no longer serves you? Are you casting your vote today for the person your past trained you to expect, or for the person you truly wish to become? To reclaim your authorship, treat every morning as a blank page. Before you touch your phone or allow the noise of the world to creep in, declare your intention. Write down one old label you are leaving behind and one new quality you are stepping into today. This simple act interrupts the cycle of reaction and anchors your identity and purpose rather than history. There is a story of a young monk who sat by a river, weeping because he felt he could never be as enlightened as his master. The master approached and asked, "Does the river that passed by this morning still flow here?" The monk replied, "No, master, that water is long gone." The master smiled and said, "Then why do you insist on being the man who sat here this morning? The river has moved on. Why haven't you?" Like the river, your potential is found in your flow, not in the stagnant pools of what used to be. When you embrace the truth that growth is a choice, you reclaim your identity, your direction, and your destiny. You no longer need permission from the world to grow beyond your old story. This mindset grants you the ultimate freedom, the realization that you are not here to repeat history. You are here to rewrite it with the pen firmly in your own hand. The world will tell you who you are, but you must remind yourself first. You are the architect of your evolution. Rise today and build something that honors your calling. Lesson 2. Attraction over chasing. We live in a world that glorifies the grind, teaching us that if we want something, we must hunt it down, trap it, and force it into our lives. We wake up and immediately begin chasing approval, chasing the next promotion, or chasing an ideal version of happiness that always seems just out of reach. But chasing is fundamentally rooted in a state of lack. It is the subconscious belief that what you need is far away and that you must exhaust yourself just to earn a scrap of it. In Buddhist wisdom, this desperate pursuit is known as tanha. or craving, which the Buddha identified as the primary root of human suffering. When we crave, we create a friction between our current self and our desires, leading to a life of constant strain and stress. The ancient path suggests a shift from craving to alignment, the realization that you do not have to beg for what belongs to you. Instead of reaching outward in desperation, you turn inward to refine your own nature, trusting that the right results will rise to meet your level when you are ready to sustain them. Think of your goals as butterflies. If you spend your afternoon running through the fields trying to catch them with your bare hands, they will always stay one flutter ahead of you, and you will end the day exhausted and empty-handed. But if you stop the chase and spend your time building a beautiful, fragrant garden, planting the right flowers and nourishing the soil, the butterflies will come to you. They will land on your shoulder because you have created an environment where they belong. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your daily energy goes into shrinking yourself or settling just to be accepted by others? Ask yourself, am I acting like a seeker of scraps, or am I building the gravity of a person who knows their worth? To move from chasing to attracting, your daily exercise is to raise your standards in the smallest ways. Each morning, before the world pulls at you, identify one habit or thought pattern that belongs to your old fear and replace it with a habit that resonates with your new frequency. Whether it is mastering your morning thoughts or refining your physical health, act as if the version of you who already has what you desire is present right now. There is an old story of a traveler who saw a monk sitting peacefully by a lake. The traveler asked, "How do you find such great opportunities and people in this desolate place?" The monk simply pointed to the still water of the lake. "When the water is turbulent and muddy from chasing the wind, it reflects nothing," the monk said. "But when the water is still and clear, the entire sky, the stars and the birds come to rest within it." The monk didn't go to the sky. The beauty of the sky came to the monk because he was still enough to receive it. When you stop chasing, you stop sending signals of unworthiness to the universe. You begin to build gravity and create pull. The benefit of this shift is a profound sense of quiet confidence and peace. You realize that delay is not denial, but rather a period of development. You move through the world with the magnetism of someone who knows that what belongs to them is already finding its way. You are not a hunter in a barren land. You are a magnet for destiny. Stop running, start growing, and watch as the world begins to seek you out. Lesson 3, I am the author, not the audience. In our modern era, we have become a generation of spectators. We wake up and immediately begin consuming the highlights of other people's lives, scrolling through their successes and judging ourselves by their edited realities. We live as if we are sitting in the back row of a theater, watching our own lives play out on a screen, feeling powerless to change the plot. We wait for luck, for the economy, or for someone else's approval to give us a good day, effectively handing the pen of our destiny to strangers and circumstances. Buddhist wisdom offers an escape through the concept of samma sankappa, or right intention, the second step of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha taught that our thoughts are the precursors to our actions, and our actions are the precursors to our character. If you do not consciously set your intention, you will inevitably fall into the conditioned patterns of the world around you. Ancient philosophy reminds us that the mind is a master weaver. If you do not choose the threads of your day with intention, the world will weave a shroud of distraction and anxiety for you. Imagine your life as a grand, silent theater. Every morning, the curtain rises on an empty stage. Most people spend their lives sitting in the dark seats, waiting for a performance to begin, hoping a hero will walk out and save the day. But the secret to a powerful life is realizing that the seat is empty because you are supposed to be on the stage. You are the lead actor, the writer of the script, and the director of the scene. The spotlight is waiting for you to step into the light and speak your first line. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your day is spent reacting to the scripts others have written for you? Ask yourself, am I the main character in my own journey, or am I just a background extra in someone else's story? To reclaim your authorship, practice morning scripting. Before you look at any screen, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things that will happen today because you decided they would. Do not write, I hope to finish work. Write, I will lead my tasks with focus. By stating these intentions in the active voice, You move from a passive observer to an active creator, priming your brain to look for opportunities to fulfill the script you've written. There is a story of a monk who was tasked with leading an unruly ox through a crowded village. At first, the monk tried to follow the ox, but the beast dragged him into stalls and mud, causing chaos. The monk stopped, took a deep breath, and began to lead the ox with a firm, calm hand, whispering the direction he intended to go. A villager asked, "How did you tame the beast?" The monk replied, "The ox only went where I let it go. I stopped being a follower of the animal's whims and remembered that I am the one holding the rope. Your mind is the ox. If you do not lead it, it will drag you through the mud of distraction." When you step into the role of the author, the primary benefit is a profound sense of internal authority. The anxiety of what might happen is replaced by the clarity of what I will make happen. You no longer feel like a victim of the weather or the news. You develop a warrior's composure, knowing that while you cannot control the wind, you are the one who adjusts the sails. This is the birth of true confidence, the kind that doesn't need an audience to feel valid. The script of your life is not written in stone. It is written in the choices you make every single morning. Stop watching from the sidelines. Step onto the stage, take a breath, and start your performance. Lesson 4. My time, my energy, and my peace are sacred. In the modern world, we are under a constant state of siege. We wake up to a digital battlefield where everyone, from advertisers to angry strangers, is fighting for a piece of our attention. We treat our energy like an unlimited resource, handing it out to anyone who demands it through a notification, a guilt trip, or a trivial drama. By noon, many of us feel hollow and depleted, not because we have worked hard, but because we have allowed our internal reservoir to be drained by things that do not matter. In Buddhist philosophy, this is addressed through the concept of pratyahara, or the withdrawal of the senses, and the practice of mindfulness. The Buddha taught that the mind is like a house with 6 gates, the senses. If the gates are left wide open and unguarded, thieves will enter and steal your treasures. Ancient wisdom teaches us that peace is not something you find in a quiet forest. It is something you protect in the middle of a noisy city. Guarding your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of spiritual survival. Imagine you own a beautiful, lush garden filled with rare and delicate flowers. If you do not build a fence, the wind will blow in trash, neighbors will trample the blossoms, and stray animals will dig up the roots. You wouldn't blame the wind or the animals for the destruction. You would blame the lack of a fence. Your peace is that garden. Boundaries are not meant to shut the world out, but to keep your inner sanctuary safe so that you have something beautiful to offer the world when you choose to step out. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your energy goes into fighting battles that aren't yours? Ask yourself, am I treating my peace like a precious treasure, or am I leaving the gates of my mind wide open for anyone to enter? To protect your energy, implement the sacred hour practice. For the first 60 minutes of your day, declare a digital fast. No emails, no news, and no social media. This is the time to water your own garden through meditation, reading, or quiet movement. By choosing what enters your mind during this window, you set the emotional thermostat for the rest of your day, ensuring that you move from a place of fullness rather than depletion. There is a story of a monk who was being followed by a man shouting insults and curses. The monk continued walking in silence, his face serene. Finally, the man blocked his path and demanded, "Why don't you fight back? Doesn't my anger bother you?" The monk calmly asked, "If you offer someone a gift and they refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The monk smiled and said, "Then keep your anger. I refuse to accept it." When you decide that your peace is sacred, you stop being a victim of circumstance. The benefit is an unshakable resilience. Even when the world is chaotic, you remain centered. You gain the clarity to distinguish between what requires your action and what only wants your attention. This freedom allows you to invest your energy into your purpose, your loved ones, and your growth, rather than wasting it on the noise of the world. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot lead a powerful life with a scattered mind. Build your fence, guard your gates, and remember that your peace is the most powerful thing you own. Lesson 5. Discipline is my language. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It arrives with the sunrise when you feel inspired, but it deserts you the moment the clouds roll in or the initial excitement fades. Most people are waiting for a feeling to strike before they take action, living in a constant state of procrastination because they aren't in the mood. But greatness is not a mood. It is a mechanical consistency. If you only move when you are motivated, you will remain a slave to your emotions rather than the master of your fate. This concept is deeply rooted in the Buddhist principle of virya, which translates to diligent effort or energy. As part of the 5 strengths, virya is the conscious application of energy to overcome sloth and mental wandering. The Buddha taught that a man who is lazy is like a house with a thatched roof. The rain of passion and doubt will easily leak through. However, the disciplined mind is like a well-roofed house that remains dry regardless of the storm outside. Ancient wisdom teaches us that discipline is the highest form of self-love because it is the only path to true liberation from our lower impulses. Think of discipline like a bamboo tree. For the first 4 years, you see nothing but a tiny green shoot. You water it, protect it, and tend to the soil every single day without fail, even when there is no visible progress to keep you motivated. You speak the language of discipline to the earth. Then in the 5th year, the tree grows 80 feet in just 6 weeks. The growth didn't happen in the 5th year. It happened in the 4 years of invisible, disciplined consistency beneath the surface. Without the daily language of effort, there is no foundation for the skyward surge. Take a moment to reflect. How many of your dreams have died because you waited for a feeling that never came? Ask yourself, am I letting my temporary emotions dictate my permanent destiny? Or am I willing to do the work even when the applause is silent? To cultivate this language, choose one non-negotiable task every morning, something small that strengthens your will. It could be making your bed the moment you rise, a 5-minute cold shower, or writing for 10 minutes. The goal isn't the task itself, it's the act of proving to yourself that your word is law. When you do what you said you would do, regardless of how you feel, you are practicing the grammar of discipline that will eventually write the story of your success. There is a story of a novice monk who complained to his master that he felt no spiritual fire while meditating and wanted to quit. The master led him to a large stone and told him to lick it every morning for 100 days. The novice thought it was foolish, but obeyed. On the 100th day, the master asked, "Has the stone changed?" The novice said, "No, master." The master then showed him the novice's tongue, which had become toughened and precise, and the stone, which now bore a slight, smooth indentation. "The stone did not change the world," the master said. "The discipline changed you. And once you are changed, the world has no choice but to follow." When discipline becomes your language, you gain an unshakable sense of self-trust. You no longer fear the days when you wake up tired or uninspired because you know your habits will carry you. This consistency brings mental clarity, builds unstoppable momentum, and eventually leads to a life of freedom. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is having the power to do what you know is right, even when it is difficult. The world is full of talented people who gave up because they lost their spark. Be the person who provides their own light. Speak the language of discipline today and let your consistency shout louder than your excuses. Lesson 6. Self-worth and evolution. We are often our own harshest critics, trapped in a toxic cycle of self-improvement that is actually fueled by self-hatred. We wake up looking in the mirror and pointing out every flaw, believing that if we are just hard enough on ourselves, we will finally become enough. But you cannot build a stable house on a foundation of sand, and you cannot build a great life on a foundation of worthlessness. When your desire to change comes from a place of lacking, you will find that even when you reach your goals, the feeling of inadequacy remains. This balance is found in the Buddhist teaching of Maitri, or metta, which is loving kindness toward oneself. The Buddha famously stated, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself, and that person is not to be found anywhere." This wisdom applies to evolution by teaching us that growth and self-acceptance are not enemies. They are partners. True evolution is the middle way, acknowledging your inherent value while simultaneously recognizing your potential to expand. Consider a seed. A seed is already a complete and perfect expression of life. It lacks nothing in its current state. However, that seed is also destined to become a massive oak tree. The seed doesn't grow into a tree because it hates being a seed. It grows because it is the natural expression of its inner potential. You are that seed. You are already enough as you are. But you choose to grow because you refuse to let your potential go to waste. You are not fixing a broken machine. You are watering a magnificent garden. Take a moment to reflect. Is your drive for success fueled by a desire to prove others wrong or by a desire to honor your own potential? Ask yourself, if I already knew I was worthy of love and respect right now, what would I choose to create today? Practice the mirror of truth exercise. Every morning, look at yourself and acknowledge one thing you appreciate about your current self, your resilience, your kindness, or even your willingness to try again. Then identify one area where you wish to evolve today. By starting with appreciation, you ground your evolution in self-respect rather than self-rejection. This ensures that your growth is sustainable and that your victories actually feel fulfilling. A young monk once asked his master, "How can I be content with who I am if I am still so full of flaws and ignorance?" The master pointed to a lotus flower blooming in a muddy pond. "Look at the lotus," the master said. "Does it wait for the mud to disappear before it decides to be beautiful? It uses the nutrients from the mud to reach for the sun. It does not hate the mud. It rises because of it. Be like the lotus. Acknowledge the mud of your life, but keep your eyes on the light." When you align self-worth with evolution, you experience a deep internal peace that cannot be shaken by external setbacks. You no longer fear failure because your value isn't tied to your performance. This shift grants you the freedom to take bigger risks and the resilience to bounce back faster. You move from a state of anxious striving to a state of joyful expansion, where every step forward feels like a celebration of who you already are. Don't wait until you reach the finish line to be proud of yourself. Be proud of the person who decided to run the race today. Honor the seed, and the tree will take care of itself. Lesson 7. Trust your inner voice. We are currently living through an epidemic of external noise. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded by the shoulds of society, what we should wear, how much we should earn, and who we should emulate. We have become so adept at listening to the shouts of the world that we have become deaf to the whisper of our own souls. When you rely solely on external validation, you are like a leaf in the wind, easily moved, easily crushed, and never truly in control of your own direction. This lesson finds its roots in the concept of Attadipa, a famous teaching from the Buddha's final days. Be a lamp unto yourself. He urged his followers not to rely on external authorities or blind traditions, but to use their own discernment and direct experience as their primary guide. In the Eightfold Path, this aligns with Samadhi or right view. It is the understanding that while we can learn from teachers and books, the ultimate truth must be realized within. Ancient wisdom tells us that your intuition is not a mystical mystery. It is the quiet resonance of your Buddha nature speaking through the clutter of your ego. Imagine a deep mountain lake. When the surface is whipped by the winds of other people's opinions and the rain of social expectations, the water becomes choppy and opaque. You cannot see what lies at the bottom. But when the wind dies down and the surface becomes still, the water becomes a clear window to the depths. Your inner voice is the treasure at the bottom of that lake. You don't need to create the voice. You simply need to still the surface of your life long enough for it to become visible. Take a moment to reflect. How many of the major decisions in your life were made to satisfy someone else's expectations? Ask yourself, if the entire world were silent for 1 hour, what would my heart be telling me to do next? To cultivate this trust, practice intuitive silence for 10 minutes every morning. Sit in a space with no devices and no music. Instead of focusing on a specific mantra, simply observe the thoughts that arise without judging them. Ask yourself one question: what is my truth today? Do not force an answer. By creating this vacuum of silence, you train your brain to recognize the specific frequency of your inner voice, making it easier to hear even when the world gets loud later in the day. A student once asked a master, "How do I know if I am following my own path or just the path of my ego?" The master took the student to a crowded marketplace and then to a silent forest. In the marketplace, the master asked, "Can you hear the birds?" The student said, "No, the noise of the people is too loud." In the forest, the master asked again, and the student said, "Yes, I hear them clearly." The master replied, "Your inner voice is like those birds. It is always singing. The ego is the marketplace. If you cannot hear the birds, it is not because they have stopped singing, but because you have chosen to stay in the noise. When you trust your inner voice, you gain a sovereign mind. You move with a sense of certainty that doesn't require an audience's applause. The benefit is an immense reduction in decision fatigue and anxiety. You stop second-guessing yourself because your compass is internal. This leads to a life of authenticity, where your external actions are a perfect reflection of your internal values, resulting in deep fulfillment and an unshakable sense of peace. The world has enough copies. What it needs is the original version of you. Don't let the noise of others drown out your inner melody. Trust that the voice within you knows the way home. Lesson 8. Resilience under pressure. We often view pressure as an enemy, a weight designed to crush our spirits and halt our progress. When life gets difficult, when the deadlines pile up, the finances tighten, or the relationships strain, our instinct is to flee toward comfort. We pray for the storm to pass rather than learning how to navigate the wind. But a life without pressure is a life without growth. Strength is not developed in the calm of the harbor. It is forged in the heart of the storm. This perspective is captured in the concept of upaya, or skillful means, and the teaching on the 8 worldly winds. The Buddha taught that life will always bring 4 pairs of opposites: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and fame and disrepute. These are the winds of existence. Resilience, in the Buddhist sense, is not about stopping the wind. It is about developing an unshakable mind, upekkha, or equanimity, that remains centered regardless of the pressure. Ancient wisdom tells us that the obstacles in your path are not blocking the path. They are the path. Consider the creation of a diamond. A diamond is simply a piece of carbon that handled extreme heat and pressure with remarkable resilience. It didn't become the most precious stone on earth by avoiding the weight of the mountain. It became a diamond because of the weight. Without that crushing force, it would remain common coal. You are the carbon, and your challenges are the mountain. The pressure isn't there to break you. It is there to crystallize your spirit into something unbreakable. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your potential are you trading away just to stay comfortable? Ask yourself, is this pressure a sign that I am failing? Or is it a sign that I am finally being forged for a higher purpose? To build this resilience, practice intentional discomfort every morning. Choose one task that makes you feel a slight internal resistance: a cold exposure, a difficult workout, or tackling your hardest project first. As you feel the urge to quit, observe the physical sensation of the pressure without reacting to it. Breathe into the tension. By voluntarily placing yourself under small amounts of pressure, you vaccinate your mind against the larger stresses of life, teaching your nervous system that you can be underweight and still be at peace. There is a story of a young monk who complained that his meditations were being ruined by the loud construction outside the temple. He asked his master to move him to a quiet cave. The master replied, "If you need a cave to find peace, your peace is fragile. Go sit next to the construction and listen to the hammers as if they were the beating of your own heart. When the noise no longer disturbs you, you will have found a peace that the world can neither give nor take away." The monk stayed, and in the midst of the noise, he found a stillness deeper than any cave could offer. When you embrace resilience under pressure, you develop unshakable clarity. You no longer panic when things go wrong because you have proof of your own strength. The benefit is a profound sense of emotional freedom. You are no longer a hostage to your circumstances. This resilience allows you to lead others during a crisis, to stay focused on your mission when others quit, and to transform every hardship into a stepping stone for your ultimate success. The weight you are carrying today is building the muscle you will need for tomorrow. Do not wish for a lighter load. Work for a stronger back. You were built for this pressure, and you are ready for your purpose. Lesson 9. Reframe rejection. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences the human ego can endure. We experience it as a door slammed in our face, a cold no that feels like a judgment on our very worth. For many, a single rejection is enough to halt a dream forever, causing them to retreat into the safety of the known. But rejection is rarely an ending. It is usually a pivot. If you view every no as a personal failure, you will spend your life paralyzed by fear. If you view it as a redirection, you become unstoppable. This lesson aligns with the Buddhist teaching of conditioned arising, pratyasamutpada, and the concept of equanimity. The Buddha taught that all things arise due to a specific set of causes and conditions. When a door doesn't open, it simply means the necessary conditions for that specific path were not met. It is not a commentary on your soul. By practicing detachment from the outcome, you can view rejection with a cool eye. Ancient wisdom teaches us that the universe is not conspiring against you. It is moving you toward a destination that is actually in alignment with your highest good. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. Occasionally, the river hits a massive rock or a fallen tree that blocks its path. The water doesn't stop and weep over the rejection by the rock. It doesn't take the blockage personally. Instead, it simply pools its energy and finds a way around, above, or beneath the obstacle. The no from the rock is actually what forces the river to find a newer, deeper, and often more powerful path. The blockage isn't a dead end. It's the very thing that shapes the river's unique journey. Take a moment to reflect. How many times has a past disappointment actually cleared the way for something much better in your life? Ask yourself, am I mourning a closed door that was actually leading me to a room I was never meant to occupy? To reframe rejection, practice the 24-hour pivot rule. When you face a setback or a no, allow yourself 24 hours to feel the sting without judgment. Then immediately ask, what is the hidden redirection here? Write down 3 alternative paths that have now become visible because the first one was blocked. By training your brain to look for the new route instead of staring at the closed door, you transform the energy of rejection into the fuel for innovation. A young monk was once sent to a village to ask for alms, but every house he visited turned him away with insults. He returned to the monastery feeling dejected. His master asked, "Did you get what you needed?" The monk replied, "No, I was rejected by everyone." The master laughed and said, "You were not rejected. You were given the gift of an empty bowl. Now you have the space to receive something far better at the next village." The next day, the monk visited a different path and was met by a scholar who didn't give him food, but gave him a life-changing teaching instead. Had his bowl been full of scraps from the first village, he would have had no room for the wisdom. When you reframe rejection, you develop invincible persistence. You stop taking life personally and start taking it strategically. The benefit is a total loss of the fear of failure, which is the single greatest barrier to greatness. You gain the resilience to keep knocking on doors, knowing that each no is simply a signpost pointing you toward the yes that will change your life. This mindset grants you a sense of lightness and adventure, turning the struggle of life into a game of discovery. The world's most successful people are not those who were never rejected. They are those who were rejected the most and refused to believe it was the end. Trust the redirection. Your yes is coming, and it will be better than the no you are currently mourning. Lesson 10. I am the standard, not an option. We often spend our lives auditioning for roles in other people's stories. We treat our time and our talents as if they are products on a shelf, hoping someone will finally pick us, choose us, or validate us. This option mindset keeps you in a state of perpetual anxiety, always waiting for a signal from the world to tell you that you are enough. But when you treat yourself as an option, the world will treat you as a convenience. To lead a life of impact, you must flip the script. You are not an applicant for life, you are the standard. This shift is deeply connected to the concept of hiri-ottappa, often translated as self-respect and moral dread. In Buddhist ethics, these are known as the guardians of the world. Hiri, or self-respect, is the internal sense of dignity that prevents a person from acting beneath their true nature. The Buddha taught that we must honor our Buddha nature, the inherent perfection within us. When you recognize this divine spark, you realize that you cannot be an option because your value is intrinsic and non-negotiable. Ancient wisdom teaches that you don't become the standard by being better than others. You become the standard by being so aligned with your truth that you become incomparable. Imagine a high-performance racing car and a common rental car. The rental car is an option. It is used by anyone, driven carelessly, and replaced the moment a newer model appears. But the racing car is a standard of engineering. It isn't available to everyone. It requires a specific environment, a specific fuel, and a specific pilot to operate. It doesn't beg to be driven. It simply exists in its excellence, and those who understand its value seek it out. You are not a rental car to be used by the world's whims. You are the precision machine that defines the race. Take a moment to reflect. How many times have you lowered your price, your boundaries, or your dreams just to be chosen by someone who didn't value you? Ask yourself, if I stop trying to be the right choice for others, how would I start being the right standard for myself? To embody this standard, practice the boundary audit. Each morning, identify one area of your life where you have been acting as an option, perhaps a lopsided friendship or a work task that isn't yours. Decide today that you will set a standard in that area. Communicate your boundary clearly and without apology. By refusing to settle for less than your standard, you train the world to meet you at your level. You aren't being difficult, you are being definitive. There is a story of a master swordsmith who was asked by a king to make 1,000 swords in a month. The king said, "If you do this, I will make you a wealthy option in my court." The swordsmith declined. He said, "I do not make swords for kings who want 1,000 options. I make one sword for the warrior who wants the standard of excellence. My time is not for sale to the highest bidder. It is reserved for the highest purpose." The king, realizing the swordsmith's worth was tied to his refusal to be compromised, eventually waited a full year just to receive a single blade, honoring the smith's standard above his own royal command. When you become the standard, the quality of your life shifts dramatically. You no longer suffer from the need to please, and your relationships become grounded in mutual respect rather than desperate seeking. The benefit is a magnetic internal power. You find that you attract higher quality opportunities and people because you no longer vibrate at the frequency of available for anything. You gain the freedom to say no to what is good so that you can say yes to what is great. Stop asking if you are good enough for them and start asking if they are aligned with the standard you have set for your life. You are a rare and precious occurrence in this universe. Act like it. Lesson 11. Respect your timeline. We are currently suffering from a comparison coma. We wake up, open our phones, and immediately measure our behind-the-scenes struggles against everyone else's highlight reels. We feel a crushing sense of panic because we aren't married by 30, a millionaire by 40, or successful according to a schedule written by strangers. We treat life like a race where we are perpetually falling behind, forgetting that a flower that blooms in winter is no less beautiful than one that blooms in spring. When you hurry your growth to match someone else's pace, you end up with shallow roots. This lesson is anchored in the concept of right effort, sama vayama, and the understanding of karma, cause, and effect. The Buddha taught that just as a farmer cannot force the grain to grow faster by pulling on the stalks, we cannot force our spiritual or material evolution through anxious striving. Everything has its own season of ripening, known as vipaka. Ancient wisdom teaches us that patience is the highest asceticism. To respect your timeline is to recognize that the universe does not move on human clocks. It moves on the rhythm of readiness. Consider the seasons of a great mountain. In the winter, it looks dormant, frozen, and unproductive. But beneath the snow, the earth is resting and the water is being stored for the spring thaw. If the mountain tried to force the flowers of July into the frost of January, the life within it would perish. Your life has winter seasons, periods of silence, preparation, and hidden growth. Just because you aren't seeing fruit doesn't mean the roots aren't deepening. You are not late, you are simply in a different season of your own geography. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your current anxiety is caused by comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20? Ask yourself, if I knew for a fact that my success was guaranteed, would I still be in such a hurry to reach the end? Or would I finally start enjoying the walk? To align with your own timeline, practice unplugging the clock for the first 30 minutes of your day. Do not check any social media or news that triggers comparison. Instead, journal about your internal progress. the lessons you've learned, the resilience you've built, and the small wins that no one else sees. By focusing on your internal mile markers rather than external deadlines, you shift your brain from a state of scarcity and hurry to a state of abundance and preparation. There is a story of two monks, one young and one old, walking to a distant temple. The young monk was constantly checking his watch and asking, "How much further? Are we late?" The old monk stopped and pointed to a turtle crossing the path. "Is the turtle late?" he asked. The young monk replied, "No, he is just a turtle." The old monk smiled and said, "The turtle is on time for the turtle's life. The eagle is on time for the eagle's life. You are the only one here who is late because you are trying to live at the speed of an eagle while your feet are on the ground. Walk your own pace, and the temple will appear exactly when you are ready to enter it." When you respect your timeline, you experience an immediate release of tension. You gain the clarity to see opportunities that you previously missed because you were moving too fast. The benefit is a deep sense of existential security, the knowing that you are exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to know. This peace allows you to work with more focus and less burnout, leading to a higher quality of success that actually lasts when it finally arrives. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. You are a part of that nature. Breathe, trust the process, and remember that your journey is a unique masterpiece, not a mass-produced product. Lesson 12. Embody your future self. Too many people spend their lives waiting for a feeling of confidence to arrive before they take action. They believe they must feel ready, worthy, or successful before they can begin to act like a person of impact. But confidence is not a prerequisite, it is a byproduct. If you wait until the world gives you permission to be great, you will be waiting forever. Transformation does not happen when your circumstances change. It happens the moment you decide to carry yourself like the person you are still becoming. This principle is found in the teaching of Tathagata, a term the Buddha used to describe himself, meaning one who has thus gone, or one who has thus come. It signifies a state of being that is already realized, not something to be attained in a distant future. In the practice of Vajrayana, there is a concept known as taking the result as the path. Instead of struggling to become enlightened, you practice the behaviors, speech, and mindset of an enlightened being right now. Ancient wisdom teaches us that the future you is not a destination you reach. It is a frequency you tune into today. Imagine an actor who has been cast as a great king. If the actor waits until the night of the premiere to start acting like royalty, the performance will be hollow and unconvincing. To truly inhabit the role, the actor must wear the robes, practice the stride, and speak with authority weeks before the curtain rises. They must embody the character in the rehearsals of their private life. Your life is the stage, and your future self is the role. If you want to be a leader, a creator, or a master, you must start rehearsing that dignity in the quiet moments of your morning. Take a moment to reflect. How differently would you carry your shoulders and speak your words if you knew for a fact that you were already the most successful version of yourself? Ask yourself, am I waiting for the world to catch up to my vision? Or am I bold enough to walk like my prayers have already been answered? To embody your future self, practice the identity shift exercise. Every morning, identify one specific quality of your future self. Perhaps it is calm under pressure or decisive action. For the next 3 hours, filter every decision through that lens. Ask, how would my future self handle this email? How would they eat this meal? How would they treat this stranger? By making choices aligned with your highest vision right now, you collapse the distance between who you are and who you want to be. A young monk once asked an elder, "How long will it take for me to reach enlightenment?" The elder replied, "As long as you think you are a student trying to reach it, it will take lifetimes. But the moment you realize you are a Buddha who has temporarily forgotten his nature, it is done." The elder then told the monk to walk across the courtyard, not as a seeker, but as a master. The monk's gait changed, his eyes cleared, and his presence shifted. He didn't gain new knowledge. He simply stopped pretending to be small. When you embody your future self, you stop trying and start being. The benefit is a total shift in your external reality. Because your internal energy has changed, doors that were previously locked begin to open. You gain a natural authority and a sense of self-respect that others can feel. You no longer need to fake it until you make it. You are simply allowing your potential to be realized in the present moment. This is the ultimate path to fulfillment, living every day as the person you once only dreamed of being. The person you have been praying to become is not waiting for you in the future. They are waiting for you to let them out today. Don't wait for the feeling. Don't wait for the permission. Rise today and walk like the person you were born to be. If these truths resonated with your spirit, hit the like button to help this wisdom reach others who may be struggling in silence. Comment below with the one declaration you are choosing to embody today. Let's anchor your intention in words. Finally, subscribe and turn on the bell to join our journey of inner mastery. Your morning is your own. Protect it, define it, and we will see you in the next chapter.